A Dalton home that she leased to Mayor Tiffany Henyard has filed eviction papers. She says Henyard has not paid her rent, and now
the saga of Dalton's self-proclaimed super mayor, Tiffany Henyard, continues to spiral into chaos, with mounting controversies that have left residents and trustees alike exhausted and fed up. Henyard's leadership, marked by extravagant self-promotion and increasingly erratic behavior, seems less like governance and more like the plot of a reality TV series. From allegations of financial mismanagement to political clashes that have turned township meetings into shouting matches, Henyard has become a polarizing figure in Dalton and Thorndon Township. Her critics argue that her priorities revolve more around maintaining her image than addressing the mounting issues in the community, such as economic deficits, allegations of misuse of public funds, and disorganized governance. Meanwhile, her supporters, though dwindling, paint her as a bold and unshakable leader battling entrenched political forces intent on bringing her down. However, the latest drama is hard to ignore, with reports surfacing of Henyard facing eviction from her residence while simultaneously fending off criticism over hosting costly and poorly attended events funded by taxpayer dollars. In one instance, her infamous skating rink project, which cost millions to develop, was cited as a glaring example of her vanity projects that appeared to serve personal publicity rather than community needs. Further scandals include her alleged misuse of government credit cards, with reports of extravagant purchases such as luxury furniture and high-end travel, with one investigation revealing an astonishing $40,000 spent in a single day on an online retailer. Trustees, fed up with her unilateral decision-making style and disregard for protocol, have repeatedly clashed with her in public meetings that are described as chaotic spectacles. In one infamous instance, a trustee stormed out in frustration, calling her tactics nothing more than grandstanding and accusing her of leading Dalton into financial ruin. The township's general fund has reportedly plunged from over $5 million to a staggering deficit, and Henyard's bold proposal to return property taxes to residents, widely viewed as a vote-buying scheme, has been dismissed as both reckless and unfeasible given the township's precarious financial situation. Adding to the disarray, federal authorities have now begun investigating allegations of embezzlement and corruption, with rumors swirling that Henyard's mismanagement extends beyond questionable spending to outright misuse of funds for personal security and lavish events. Public outrage reached a boiling point at recent town meetings where residents turned their backs to her while she spoke, signaling widespread discontent. Still, Henyard remains defiant, comparing herself to past controversial political figures and insisting that she is the victim of an orchestrated campaign to oust her. Yet her increasingly bizarre behavior, coupled with vague accusations against unnamed opponents and unfulfilled promises, like her plan to start a podcast to set the record straight, has done little to restore public confidence. As Dalton continues to reel from what many describe as a lack of competent leadership, the question lingers: how much longer will Henyard's reign of controversy last, and what impact will this tumultuous chapter have on the town's future?
While suburban politician Tiffany Henyard appears to have lost control of both governments.
Imagine this. You arrive at a Thorndon Township meeting expecting the usual mundane discussions about local issues, typical bureaucratic exchanges, maybe updates on ongoing projects. But instead, you find yourself in what can only be described as a chaotic spectacle, a live-action disaster that feels more like a reality show gone wrong than a government session. At the center of the mayhem is none other than Supervisor Tiffany Henyard, already entangled in legal troubles over unpaid rent and mounting scandals. Unfazed by the criticism and controversy, Henyard appears determined to tighten her iron grip on the township, a move that quickly turns the meeting into a display of dysfunction. Attendees are stunned as accusations fly, voices are raised, and the atmosphere devolves into outright chaos. Trustees, visibly exasperated, call out Henyard for disregarding procedures and attempting to unilaterally push decisions without consensus, further fueling public outrage. Meanwhile, residents in the audience alternate between voicing their dissatisfaction and simply watching the proceedings unravel like a train wreck they can't look away from. The meeting mirrors the broader issues that have plagued Henyard's leadership, a tenure riddled with controversies, from allegations of misusing taxpayer funds for extravagant events and personal expenses to persistent clashes with trustees over her decision-making style. Critics accuse her of prioritizing self-promotion over the township's real needs, pointing to her high-profile but poorly received initiatives as evidence of mismanagement. Yet, even as the township faces severe financial shortfalls, Henyard appears undeterred, dismissing concerns and doubling down on what detractors label as reckless behavior. Public trust erodes further with every revelation, such as her proposal to return property taxes, a move widely criticized as both financially unfeasible and a blatant ploy to regain support amid growing discontent. As the meeting drags on, the mood oscillates between frustration and disbelief, with residents left wondering how their local government reached this level of disarray and what it will take to restore order and accountability.
Fortunately, we knew it was going to be a little messy, but it's just something we felt important that had to be done, that should be done. So, but like I said,
The meeting begins with tensions already running high, setting the stage for yet another contentious clash under the leadership of Supervisor Tiffany Henyard. Accusations of misusing taxpayer funds and allegations of leveraging her position for personal gain have left Henyard at odds with her fellow trustees, and the friction is palpable. Trustee Kiana Caro attempts to join the session via phone, a seemingly routine request, but Henyard quickly shuts it down in a display of pure control. Refusing to accommodate Caro's attempt to participate remotely, Henyard dismissively asserts, "If you have not been here, you should have shown up to the board meeting to take care of the business." This sharp rebuke sets the tone for what is to come, making it clear that Henyard isn't interested in collaboration or compromise. Instead, the meeting spirals into a showcase of Henyard's trademark approach, a heavy-handed, domineering style that leaves little room for dissent or constructive dialogue. Henyard appears less focused on addressing pressing township issues and more intent on consolidating her authority, leveraging the moment to reassert her control over anyone who dares question her methods or decisions. This power play leaves Caro sidelined and signals to all present that cooperation will not be on Henyard's agenda. Her behavior is emblematic of the broader criticisms leveled against her tenure, accusations of pettiness, a refusal to consider alternative perspectives, and a dismissive attitude that has alienated even former allies. The meeting itself devolves into a microcosm of the larger issues plaguing Henyard's leadership: tension, disarray, and a relentless focus on dominance over governance. Critics see it as yet another instance of Henyard putting her ego ahead of the township's needs, with each move further eroding the already fragile trust in her administration. Residents and trustees alike are left frustrated by her inability or unwillingness to engage in transparent, inclusive decision-making, reinforcing the sense of division and dysfunction that has defined her tenure.
Henyard making a late appearance at the Dolton Village Board meeting this evening. That meeting was being held at the Park District building since Village Hall cannot legally accommodate the crowds in a typical.
This meeting wasn't just about Henyard flexing her control over the trustees. There were actually important matters on the agenda, like approving the minutes from the last meeting and discussing a proposed tax refund for residents. This refund, by the way, should have been a huge deal. It was supposed to be a tax break worth over $2 million for Dolton residents. You think this would be a moment where local leaders could set at their differences and work together for the good of the community. But nope, not with Henyard in charge. Despite the importance of the tax refund, the meeting quickly spirals out of control. Trustee Chris Gonzalez, already fed up with Henyard's antics, decides he's had enough and walks out, and when he leaves, that's it. No quorum, no vote, no tax refund. Henyard, of course, tries to spin this as everyone else's fault, claiming that Gonzalez and the other trustees aren't interested in doing the people's work. But let's be real, who can get anything done when Henyard is running the show like it's her own personal fiefdom? I think you should pay everybody. Is there the reason why you guys are not paying whatever that vendor is? What was it for? It was for shirts. That's what it's for. You do that. And let's not forget, this whole meeting is happening while Henyard is facing her own personal drama. Yep, the super mayor is also facing eviction from her home after allegedly failing to pay rent for months. Her landlord Janetta Hull, who once considered Henyard a friend, has had enough. Hull says that Henyard and her boyfriend Kamal Woods, who makes a pretty penny himself working for the township, haven't paid rent since August. And not only that, they allegedly changed the locks on H's property to keep her out. Can you imagine? You rent your property to the mayor, and then they stop paying rent and lock you out of your own house. Hull said she's now owed over $5,000 in back rent and is going through the legal process to get Henyard and Woods evicted. And honestly, who could blame her? Henyard and Woods are reportedly pulling in over $300,000 combined in taxpayer-funded salaries, yet somehow they can't seem to scrape together the rent. Hull's frustration is palpable when she says, as a mayor, you would think they would uphold positive citizen standards. You don't see that with these people. They just feel like they can do whatever they want. Ouch, deep debt. And that is the finding of an investigation of village finances and the spending habits of Bagger Mayor Tiffany Henyard. So while Henyard is busy playing dictator at the township meetings, she's also dealing with the very real possibility of being kicked out of her home. And it's not just the local trustees and residents who are fed up. Henyard is also under federal investigation for her spending habits. Lori Lightfoot, the former mayor of Chicago, was brought in to investigate Dalton's finances, and the preliminary findings are jaw-dropping. In 2022, Dalton's general fund balance was over $5 million. By May of 2024, that number had plummeted to a deficit of $365 million. How does something like that even happen? Lightfoot's investigation revealed that Henyard had been using the village's credit card to make all sorts of purchases: Amazon, Target, Walgreens, Wayfair, you name it. There's even a specific day in January 2023 where Henyard dropped $43,000 on Amazon. $43,000 on what exactly? Henyard has yet to explain. She's also reportedly used taxpayer money to fund luxury trips, including stays at the Four Seasons in Atlanta and the Marriott Mairs in New York City. These trips, according to Henyard, are all for the people, but let's be honest, how many residents of Dalton are really benefiting from their mayor jetting off to first-class accommodations while the village falls deeper into debt? Who would make a one-day purchase of over $40,000 to Amazon? And the main thing is, what makes this spending even more outrageous is the context of Dolan's financial situation. The village hasn't just been dipping into its reserves, it's been hemorrhaging money. Local vendors haven't been paid in months, resulting in a backlog of over $6 million in unpaid checks. And if that's not bad enough, some employees are reportedly worried about whether they'll even receive their paychecks in the coming weeks. It's no wonder that Henyard's lavish spending on what's supposed to be public money feels like such a slap in the face to the community. And let's talk about the police overtime scan. SC Lightfoot's investigation uncovered that 2 police officers were paid more in overtime than their actual annual salaries. One officer, who had a base salary of $87,395, pocketed an additional $14,800 in overtime pay. Another officer with a salary of
body is the reason why you guys are not paying whatever that vendor is.
What was it for?
It was for shirts. That's what it's
$735.15 earned $10,277 in overtime. It's clear that Hen's use of the police as her personal security detail isn't just costing the village financially, it's also leaving fewer officers available to protect residents. Critics have pointed out that while Henyard enjoys a sizable security detail, Dalton itself is suffering from a lack of police presence, especially during a time when crime is on the rise. The township residents are paying for her fund. At the same time, Henyard continues to defend her actions, claiming these expenditures are necessary for building relationships and attracting investment for the village. But how many relationships were built with those first-class flights? How much investment has actually come from those luxury hotel stays? Residents are skeptical, and rightfully so. Many feel that these trips are more about Henyard's personal comfort and less about the economic growth of Dalton. Meanwhile, basic services are being cut and infrastructure is crumbling. Just look at the recent water main breaks the Henyard is now trying to blame on budget cuts. It's no wonder residents are calling for her to step down, and it's not just whispers behind closed doors. People are straight up calling her the worst mayor in America, and it's hard to argue with that when you look at the facts. One fan comment from a recent YouTube video summed it up perfectly: arrest this clown. Already harsh, but when you consider the allegations against her, it's not hard to see why people are angry. Another viewer added, she is the worst enemy of the residents, the very worst by a mile. It's clear that the people of Dalton are over it. They're tired of the drama, the mismanagement, and the endless excuses. And now, with Henyard re-election bid looming, it seems like things are only going to get more chaotic. Hey guys, This is Super Mayor Tiffany Henyard, the people's mayor and people supervisor. But here's the thing, Henyard isn't backing down. In fact, she's doubling down on her position as the self-described super mayor. She's already announced her re-election campaign, and she's pushing the narrative that all of these controversies are simply distractions from the real work she's doing for the people. In a Facebook post announcing her run for a second term, Henyard said, "They know the truth, and I am committed and determined to continue fighting for my village for the next 4 years." It's a bold statement, especially considering the mountain of accusations and investigations piling up against her. And let's not forget the federal subpoenas, both Dalton and Thorne Township, where Henyard also serves as supervisor, were hit with subpoenas earlier this year as part of an ongoing investigation into her spending. Her political committee and even her charity organization are also under scrutiny. So while Henyard is busy painting herself as the victim of a smear campaign, the FBI is busy looking into where all that taxpayer money went. Fox 32 has investigated Henyard's use of a police security detail, taking officers off the street and costing thousands of dollars. As if all of this wasn't enough, Henyard is also using her position to silence her political opponents. During a recent Facebook Live rant, Henyard suggested that she would be seeking the arrest of individuals involved in what she called a power and money grab. She didn't specify who she was talking about or what crimes they supposedly committed, but the message was clear across Henyard, and you'll face the consequences. It's a classic move from someone who sees themselves as untouchable. But how long can she really keep this up? At the end of the day, it's the residents of Dalton who are suffering the most. The village is over $5 million in debt. Essential services are being cut, and there's a real sense that things are spiraling out of control. Henyard's focus seems to be more on maintaining her grip on power than actually addressing the needs of her constituents. And with her re-election campaign now officially underway, it's anyone's guess how this will all play out. For a year now, we've been reporting unquestionable spending by a South suburban politician named Tiffany Henyard, but we only knew half the story. So what do you think? Will Henyard manage to hold on to her position despite the mounting controversies? Or will the people of Dalton finally say enough is enough? And what about the federal investigation? Will it lead to real consequences for Henyard, or will she continue to dodge accountability? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And remember, as much as Henyard paints herself as the super mayor, it's the residents who have the real power when it comes to deciding the future of their village.